very much. We would also like to remind you guys, if you haven't browsed yet, the books that are out there, including the ones that were mentioned here, we also have Dr. Petrulio's book out there available as well. And if we may have Dr. Ruff back into the podium, please, as we'll begin our question and answer sessions. We have a microphone where our lovely volunteer is standing by. If you have a question, you may walk on by and ask our speakers any questions.
They're all asleep. There's no question. The mind has gone completely quiet.
Maybe we were clear.
I'll give you a few minutes. There's probably enough out there somewhere I can feel.
If there are no questions, if you feel like saying any final words based on both presentations, we have about 10 minutes.
Oh.
Yes, would you mind walking to the microphone?
Speculate, tell us.
Well, my name is Giancarlo. I'm a medical doctor from Brazil. And I'd like to know if Dr. Kenneth had any resistance from the scientific community, especially dealing with consciousness studies and something like that.
What's the word?
Would you mind repeating the question?
Residence?
No, resistance.
Resistance
yeah.
from the scientific community. I suppose Candace would, a little self-selected, Candace would get invited to speak to different organizations, and I think they were very open to this type of discourse and communication. Certainly there was resistance to this. We were professors at Georgetown University down the road for 10 years, and in our department of physiology, we were involved in some way or helped contribute to development of a program in like psychosomatic medicine, which sought to engage the medical students outside of the normal curriculum. And this wasn't going to be part of the medical school curriculum, no way. And there were certainly some hurdles we had to kind of overcome. I suppose the chief of cardiology and stuff like this, like they weren't really going for this. And in truth, there would be like a handful of students that would show up at 6 o'clock on, like a Wednesday to spend an hour and a half or so with us. 15, 20 kids out of a class of 200 that were interested in this, that were receptive to this. But for the most part, our goal was to kind of like move this a bit more into the medical school. There's been some success for that. Different medical schools have this. This program continues at Georgetown. I think George Washington has this a little bit. And, the field of cancer therapy anymore, you almost have to be into a counseling group where you meet with other people and maybe like talk about some of these ideas. So, there's some building recognition of this, but yeah, there's a little bit of resistance, but not so much anymore. Maybe more openness to it, but certainly not everybody was fully on board. It was just considered to be, too outside what was, considered to be correctly taught at a medical school. But beyond the medical community, in the healthcare world, which is many, many times larger, no, Candace, these ideas were embraced with great enthusiasm. And a lot of people contribute to this discussion. Candace was just one. Sure.
Yes, I'm Gary Schwartz.
Can I
please.
just say one answer to that question also?
Sure.
Because something I thought that I heard Candace speak about in form of resistance was the subject of this conference, which is spirituality and God, being part of a medical scientific understanding. And she always, well, at one time battled in herself about how to do that because she knew they were connected. But by the time she had done her second book and been in a movie, she was comfortable with God, the G word, and science. So thank you for letting me say that.
Sure. I'm Gary Schwartz, and first of all, I wanted to thank the two of you for sharing your different perspectives about Candace. I think you beautifully honored her in many ways, and certainly personally given me a more enriched perspective of who she is. Nancy, you made a comment about how she was, quote, larger than life. And you also made a comment that you sensed her presence, that she was here. And tomorrow, toward the end of this meeting, in my second presentation, which is, I think, called Acknowledging the Spirit, and by the way, that's Dr. Doy's title, not mine, but I'm thrilled that she gave me that title. If I remember correctly, the second slide that I use is a comment that says that people who are bigger than life in this life are bigger in life in the next. And this has come out of years of research that I've been involved with. I like the term larger than life than bigger than life, now that you said it, because it's more poetic. But I'm curious, have either of you had a sense of her presence? And also, if you'd be willing to share some of that, I think this would be the perfect, safe environment to do so. And also, if there were any professional mediums who have had the opportunity to maybe give her voice, I would be curious to know about that as well.
Just one quick note, we will allow them to answer this question and then move on to our next lecture as to allow for the time. And for the two people who are standing, they will be here a little bit afterwards if you wish to ask them a question directly. I apologize.
Well, I'm gonna take a stab at that, Gary. So, as I said, I did not attend the memorial service a year ago. I was on the West Coast, and so all of this was distant from me. So when I arrived at Mike's house two nights ago, Thursday evening, and spent the day there for the first time, I guess, in 8 years. I hadn't been to visit at the house. She'd come out to the West Coast a lot. I was sitting at the dining room table and working on my notes and preparation and slides and all of that. And suddenly I heard Candace very loud, so loud that I got up from my chair. Now, Candace would make a sound. She had a lot of sounds she'd make. She would groan in bliss in the massage, and she would clear her throat loudly sometimes with a sound like this. It would just be from nowhere, and she was just releasing energy from her solar plexus, and those of us who were around her and knew her totally accepted this strange sound. Well, I heard that sound very loud, and I got up out of my chair, and I walked into the other room, and there is her very favorite dog, Tori, a chocolate lab who's very old now. How many years? 14?
14.
14 years old. He just kind of lies around a lot. He's an older dog. And he did it again. He made that sound exactly like Candace. Now you might say, well, he heard her do that. But it was her vibration. It was more than just the sound. And I said, hi, Candace. Thanks for coming to me through Tori. And I just have felt comforted by that and also connected to her through that. A few other little things happened. I had a dream that I can't remember. But I really do sense her presence, and it's real to me. So thank you for asking that. Did you want to say anything about that? I'm sure you have a lot of good stories.
Well, it's a little late, and probably we should move on. I haven't. Maybe my heartbreak and grief is too much. This lady that works for me, she dreams about Candace all the time. She's Indian. She's Jane. She's very, very spiritual. And Candace comes to me all the time. I say, all right, tell me your Candy stories. Oh, one, she's sitting at the table in the lab. She's running a lab meeting. All you guys are sitting around the table. She's at the head of, she's running a lab meeting. And, I lean forward. I'm like, oh, really? What did she say? Well, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I said, oh, my goodness, call her back, have this conversation, and pay closer attention, because if there's some message from the beyond about the research or the work, I certainly want to hear it, because I feel like I'm charged with, continuing this work that she did. So in some ways, other people bring me these stories, but myself personally not, but I feel I was so tightly integrated. She never leaves my space, so thank you.
Thank you both so much.